Hi, everybody. My name is Marc Bates, and I'm your metabolic health coach. So, welcome to the channel. Yesterday, we started our 7-day little series here on how to significantly lose weight at the beginning of the year. I mean, we've all gone through the end of the year, New Year's, holidays, right? Everyone's probably gained a little weight. But what if you've already had a bunch of weight to lose to begin with and you're just starting out? This series is about that. How do you get started? So yesterday we talked about how to get started on your journey, what you need to do, how to set realistic goals and things like that, right? Today we're actually going to get into it. So today we're talking about starting strong with a 1-month low carb commitment. I'm not asking for you to do 12 months of this. Let's start with 1 month. Okay, so first thing you need to do though is truly assess where you're at. Okay, take an honest look at your starting point. Okay, so what I want you to do is measure yourself, take photos, videos, step on the scale. I don't normally suggest stepping on the scale too much, but this is one time I want you to do that. Step on the scale, know where you're at, okay? And I want you to sit down and truly and honestly think about what have you been eating, not just for the last couple months, but what have you been eating for most of your life? And if you've been eating a standard American diet, very heavy in carbs, right? Mostly wheat-based or grain-based, you need to allow for your body to adjust to a change in your routine. So if you've been very carb heavy for most of your life, take a moment and try to assess how many carbs on average you've been eating every day based upon your normal meal span, right? Has it been 100, 200, 300 grams of carbs, right? You can get their tools online, but basically just think about how much have you been eating and how many grams of carbs you've been doing. And what I want you to do is, if you've been eating a significant amount of carbs, is give yourself, before you start this 1-month commitment, give yourself time to adjust to a low carb meal setting. Because remember, your gut microbiome, that is essentially your intestines, right? All the microbes in there and the way your body's used to digesting food, it's all based upon the way you've been eating. It's geared around that. It has very little to do with what you've been eating in terms of microbiotics and if you've been taking pills specifically for that. It has more to do with what you've been eating long term, right? Your body has been trying to adjust to digest the food you've been eating. So if you've been eating nothing but carbs for the most part, right? What's your normal breakfast? What's your normal lunch? What's your normal dinner, right? Is your lunch cereal, all grain based, almost no protein in real terms? I mean, animal protein, right? Vegetable protein just doesn't count. Okay? Is your lunch a couple slices of meat on bread? It's mostly carbs again. Is your dinner pasta, rice dishes, things like that? Lots of carbs. Give yourself time. What I want you to do is start looking online or ask me for advice on where to get this, but get low carb meal planning. Get some menus, try to figure this out. But it can be very simple. I mean, low carb can be just as easy as grilling up a hamburger patty, not putting the bun on it. That's very low carb, right? Have a steak. People go, Mark, I can't afford to eat steaks. Well, trust me, if you get rid of all the junk food out of your grocery cart, steaks become a lot more affordable. In fact, I probably spend less per month on food, and I buy primarily hamburgers and steaks, than I'd ever did when we were buying all the pastas and the cereals for the kids and whatever else, right? eating real food doesn't cost nearly as much as you think as it does. So start shifting towards a meat-based, low-carb diet. If you've been eating without break a mostly carb-based diet, give yourself a minimum of 4 weeks. But if you've never done low carb, give it maybe 6 to 8 weeks. Give yourself some time. Think about how you're going to transition from your very high carb lifestyle to a very low carb lifestyle. Give it time for your body to adjust. Okay? And then plan your 1 month commitment after that point. Okay? So the first step is let's think about where you're at. Let's reduce the number of carbs gradually, week by week, right? Until you get down to essentially a very low carb or no carb type of a lifestyle. Give your body time to adjust. Okay? So what I want you to think about now is, how do I change from eating grain-based to eating mostly meat-based? Hamburger patties, steaks, lots of eggs. You can add cheese into there, right? What you're looking for, minimize the cheese. We'll talk about cheese later, but minimize the cheese. You want eggs, hamburger, right? Steak, beef, eggs, lamb. If you've ever tried lamb is gorgeous. It tastes great, right? You can have pork, especially like bacon if you want, though I will tell you much later on how to transition away from pork, because pork is not necessarily that good for you for many technical reasons. Most of the pork does not have a good fat content compared to like beef that your body really wants. Some chicken's good. Don't need a lot of chicken. Chicken, very much like pork, has very bad fat content, and most people just eat chicken breasts anyways. There's like no fat on that, especially if you take the skin off. So you're eating very protein laden, which is good, but we need the good fat, because the good fat is where you get your energy. Okay? So just keep that in mind. We will talk tomorrow about your protein fat priority and why that matters. But right now, just think about, how am I going to start moving away from eating grain-based foods to animal-based foods? How am I going to switch to eating eggs, steak, hamburger patties, and such, instead of eating cereal, breads, and other things? And give yourself time to get used to the new diet. Okay? If you jump right into it, you will get, for most people, what we call the keto flu, where you feel like you have the flu for, a week, maybe 10 days. If that's okay, you can jump right into it. But most people really get scared with this keto flu if they've never experienced it before. So you need to think about that. I want you to convert to a new way of eating and living and nurturing your body, not just going on a diet. All right. If you have questions, leave me a reply. What I want you to is also think about joining my healthcare or my metabolic coaching platform. It's $10 a month. The link will be in the description. Just think about it, right? You get access to a bunch of stuff that I don't post on YouTube. You get access to live calls that I put up. You get access to a forum where you can ask direct questions, and we have a communication going. You can provide people with your insights, and other people can help you with what you're doing. All right? So let me know. It's all about communication at this point, and be good. Thank you all. Oh, by the way, if you haven't done so, think about liking, subscribing, and sharing this video as well. Thanks. Have a great day.